Can you hear all right without the microphone? It's because I raised kids. We're going to talk about colors, auras, and cell healing today. Most of you have had the aura photo done, right? Have all of you had an aura photo? Oh, okay. Does everybody know what an aura is? Okay, so I've given you a little handout, and what we'll do is we'll just try to cover this. And I also have brought some color therapy glasses, and I just invite you to pass them around and try them on. Try the one on that you like, and try the one on that you don't like, because that will give you a little more insight into yourself. Just try them on. I manufacture a lot of products, and I've been teaching color therapy now for about 30 years. I'm on the faculty of several schools throughout the United States. And so first let's talk just about what an aura is, and then a little bit about the shapes. I manufacture the aura camera that we have here at the expo. I manufacture the only camera that is recognized by the United States Federal Board as non-programmable, so that we're real clear I'm not into the woo part. I try to teach the practical aspects of color because it will change your life. So first of all, the aura, the only thing that is photographable is the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies. The etheric body is not photographable. And when the aura cameras first were developed, they were developed in the 1930s by a doctor named Seymour Krulin out of Russia. And he developed the Krulin camera. You can go online, you can research this, you can make one on your own if you would like to. It is still used in Russia as a diagnostic tool. Because if you look at the breaks in the corona, that shows the ailments in the physical body. It is my belief that if you address the emotional body, you prevent disease on the physical body. And so that we're clear, I am not an advocate of Western drugs. I don't believe in pharmaceutical drugs. I think they're just as bad as, anything, probably worse than what you buy off the street. So, remember that Health Freedom Coalition Act right now? If y'all are familiar about it, I invite you to find out about it. Because we could lose our rights by the end of this year if that bill goes, which means you couldn't get a reflexologist, you couldn't get a nutrition, you could get nothing without a medical doctor. The reason I'm so passionate about it, at 32 years of age I had a heart attack, and Western medicine suggested I take 16 Enderol and 2 Digoxin per day. Now that was after they almost killed my son when he was 4 because they gave him all these drugs and he was allergic to the chemicals in the food. Well, my son is 41. I'm 61, not 62. And I have still not taken any medication in over 30 years. And I look better than my son. So do that so we don't lose our rights. So anyway, back to, so anybody that's ever been to an allergologist or had anything done like that, it's the corona in the eyes or the corona in the fingertips that can tell when you have a physical ailment. And then you can decide what you would like to do with that. So I started to develop these cameras because it would allow a person to actually see their auric field. And what size and shape your aura is, it's not a big deal. Some people think if it's really big, it's better, or if it's really small. You can see how close this one is. This is just as in balance, it's just, and it's the same size. This shows that there was a lot of stress in the field. So the size and the shape of the aura is important. If you can't see it, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Some people can see the aura, and if you put them at night, if you'd like to experiment, put like a black sheet on the wall, and then put somebody in a chair, and just keep looking about 1/4 inch over the head. And you'll probably start to see something. And then ask somebody to kind of, bless you, to kind of pull it and see if you can maneuver it. If you can't see it, don't worry about it. Think about this. Did you ever, anybody that's ever had children, you know how you go home and you don't know why, but you walk in the door and that one kid over there, you'd like him to leave. You have no good reason for it, and later on you find out he really did some bad things and you were glad that he's not around your kid. Well, it was his aura or his energy field that you felt. And if you trust that, if you trust that and you teach your children to trust that, it's a really valuable tool. So for those of you that want to experiment, and for those of you that try on the color therapy glasses, the indigo glasses in particular will help you to see the auric field. It also, red and indigo work wonderful on migraine headaches. You see, red increases your blood flow and indigo decreases it. So if you'll put them on if you have a headache, you'll know instantly what you need. But indigo will help you to see the auric field. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what color therapy is and how it works. Has anybody ever heard of color therapy before? It's becoming popular again. It used to be popular in the United States in the 30s. And after World War II, and the AMA got involved at the end of the 30s, that's when all these rules came about, and that's when everything became synthetic. That's when we started putting all these chemicals that you can't read into your food, and then you wonder why girls are living up, you know, at 10 years of age, they look like they're 20s because of all the stuff that we put in there. So there was a doctor that came here from the Middle East, from India, called Reis, and he had the color spectrum machine. So what he would do is he would come to his office and he would treat you with this machine. I know where there's I'm a public speaker throughout the world on color therapy. So I know where there's things that they're not supposed to have, and there are some underground machines still here in the United States, because they found that blue would shrink growths. Well, the color blue is also a natural appetite suppressant, because if you go back and you study history, people never would hunt for blue food. I created the only blue light in the world for the refrigerator. 95% of everything you take it through the eyes. Colors like a vitamin. So when you see blue, it's a natural appetite suppressant. For some folks, it can be be depressive if it's really dark. So what Dinshot is, when he would treat you with various colors, turquoise for the thymus, and he would have very good results with it. If you wanted to go to Home Depot and buy one of those little flashlights, I think they're $10, you can take the top off. You can go in a stage and lighting store here in town. Every city has one. And you buy these gels. Those they're called Roscoe filters. We use them. I'm from Los Angeles, so we use them in the movie studios there to change the color when you're producing. You cut a little circle out for whatever color you want, and you stick it inside that light, and now you have a color therapy wand. For under $20, or you could go online and $300 to $3,000. And you could put an LED light that does the same exact thing. I make a lot of products, so now if you had somebody who wanted to zap like the third eye here, which is really helpful if you've been traveling a lot, it'll help to put red on there. If you have somebody that's anorexic, you could give them a little bit of red, because red is a natural appetite stimulant. Interesting, isn't it? I can't talk long, so I've got to talk fast. So I'm going to talk to you just about a few of the colors, and then I want to invite you all to ask questions as well. First of all, red. How many like red in here? How many don't like red? All right, so those of you that don't like red, I bet you don't like confrontation, huh? You would like to avoid that. Those of you do like red, how many of you are self-employed or in charge at work? You have to have red in your field, or you can't be self-employed, and you can't do a good job, because that red is that passionate energy. Doesn't mean you're angry, it means you're very passionate. And it could mean you're really angry. There's two sides to every color. I think McDonald's is one of the smartest business people I've come across for making a buck, and I can understand why they can donate so much money to the Ronald McDonald's children. Because while they poison our children, they turn around and donate money to help them. And if you notice, their colors are red and yellow, isn't it? They're a natural appetite suppressant, appetite stimulant. So when you go in there and think about all the menus of the United States, apple pie is the biggest seller here, right? But you never see it on the menu. You see cherry pie. The eye sees the red, it gets hungry, it wants to eat more. If they want your money, and they want you to get in and out fast, it's going to be a lot of red. Hamburger joints are red. Let's take your money, let's get the beef, and this is a beef steak, and let's just, move on out. If they want you to stay longer, they're going to be cooler colors that are going to invite you to be there longer. So I do some work for inner city schools, which is a real passion of mine. And as an example, in Los Angeles, you can shoot the kid on the campus, but you can't teach them color therapy or meditation. So we have what's called Miss Donna's Blue Time. They no longer eat at McDonald's because they are sure that everyone is only after their money, which is the truth. So what they do is they take the blue poster here. It's a solid blue poster, and if there's something that's violent that's happened at home, they'll come in and they'll ask if they can have Miss Donna's Blue Time. And they'll breathe in and they'll breathe out blue. Isn't that fabulous? And it's completely legal to do. Now, you can't touch them. You can't let them smell anything, but you can put essential oils on yourself that are really calming, and then you can lean in and talk to them. Because it goes up the olfactory, it goes to the brain, and it calms them down. Isn't that nice? And you just abided by all the laws, and you did a fabulous thing for children. Okay? And I'm inviting you, I teach a lot of correspondence courses, so I just invite you, when you leave, to just take a look at color in a little different way. So, a little bit on orange. Think about orange. How many like orange? How many don't? That's good. There's an awful lot of folks, of all the colors and of all the places I've been, orange and brown are the two colors that are disliked the most. So let's just do a little history lesson here. Remember Vietnam? Remember how everything was avocado green and orange, right? We were in trauma as a nation, orange, and avocado green was trying to find a balance between the male and female energy. The men were trying to figure out, did they want to go to war? What about the draft? And women were trying to get their rights. That was what that color meant. Vietnam was an orange country. The poppy grows there. Heroin is an orange plant. Addictions begin in orange as well as bliss. In my color therapy system, I believe that we have our growth years. Our orange years are usually 8 to 14 years of age. So if you have somebody that's been traumatized by something, they won't be able to stand orange. If they're an addict, they won't be able to stand orange. So orange is really helpful when you want to release that bliss. So remember back to when the Twin Towers fell? I was in New York during that time, and I had just done a lecture there a few months before, and then I was back when the towers came down. What really struck me was being a woman. When I finished my lecture, I hit the department store to see what the new clothes were. And my stomach just knotted up. Here we were, tangerine and lime green. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if we're going to have, what's going to happen? And the towers fell within months. So my theory was, hopefully I'm right on this, that we have more of the Christ energy or the God energy, whatever name you choose, that our consciousness has risen to where that is a lighter orange, to where we're letting the tangerine in. Hopefully we are learning to live together as a human race in the lime green, where we can bring the green and yellow together and balance the heart and mind. Don't you find that a fascinating pattern, that we come up like that? Here's another interesting little thing. I was a speaker in Columbine. Those two boys lived in indigo rooms. The highest rate of suicide are under people that suppress themselves with colors that are that harsh to live with. Now, since we have this, quote, spiritual movement going on now, everybody wants to be purple or indigo, right? Well, that's wonderful. But what happened to red? Red's the root of purple, isn't it? So if you go too far one way or too far the other way. So when I have kids that really want this indigo, I'm all for it. We do one wall in gold, because gold is the color complement to indigo, and it's about wisdom. Put a couple of little indigo throw rugs down, never indigo sheets, because that will cause depression and it's harder to wake up. If you have kids that have attention, what is that? We have ADD. Yeah, attention. I know that's what I would be, because I have a 3-year attention span, which is why I am a self-employed entrepreneur. For 30 years to keep making new products. But thank God they didn't have drugs for me when I was a kid. So think about the kid that can't focus. Do you know, and I have an attorney here locally and a judge that will attest to this. Their ADD is gone, and so is their acid reflux. If you paint a wall yellow, it'll help you to focus. That's all you have to do is paint it yellow. Try sleeping in a yellow room. Try sleeping on yellow sheets. You will not sleep all night long, and you'll be busy in the bathroom. So both my bathrooms are yellow. You're invited to use them and get out. It's not a place to hang out. And every room in my place has a different color. So the yellow is to help you to focus. Now, acid reflux is another new big thing we have, isn't it? Right? And you have that little purple pill that goes with it, so there's some more money you can go spend, and then you'll need to get another pill to counteract the side effects of the purple pill. Watch this. Lemon essential oil, pure lemon oil, right here, like this. Your acid reflux is gone. You just balance the pH in your body. It works. And it's so inexpensive. But now you could go to Whole Foods or someplace and buy a really cheap one. But you got to remember this. It takes 122 petals to make 1 drop of oil. And I do not use gem living oils, and I will say that publicly. They are adulterated. I've been using oils for 25 years. It's hard for me to travel now, because I can't carry my oils on me, and they're part of my health system, part of me keeping myself in line. So I would just invite you, if you got a little cellulite you want to get rid of, try bathing in grapefruit oil. Try rubbing. I think I had a client that put some on her knees, and it helped with the swelling in the knees. You can put some in your water, and those are all yellow frequencies. There's just so much to this language of color, because there's the years that you grow. There's whether you like it or not. I've been contracted by, who was that group? It was the business and marketing executives of Shreveport, Louisiana. They wanted me to come and explain to them how to increase their sales and increase their business through the use of color. But I could not talk about the auras whatsoever. They didn't want me to do that, so that's okay, not a problem. Well, when I did my lecture, somebody asked me about color, and I said, well, what's your favorite color, your least favorite? I ended up reading 35 men in that room because they were shocked over it. It's a language that will allow you to understand and address people and address different issues and how you can live in an environment. If you go back to the 50s, we used to have little boys in blue and little girls in pink. There wasn't ever anything in between. That was it. Well, little boys would talk, let your leg off. They just talk a mile a minute. They were busy little bees, and little girls were lethargic here making their paper dolls. That's what we used to cut them out, you know. And if you hated cutting out paper dolls and you really wanted to be a little boy, it was really a challenge. Well, think about those colors. Blue is what helps you to see. Blue is the color of banks. It's the color of police officers, isn't it? So that it invites you to trust them and to listen to what they have to say. A lot of interrogation rooms in police departments are painted blue. It promotes truth telling. I've done consulting for several prisons and several jails. The women's prison up in Northern California, Schacherer, the majority of the women are there for violent crimes against men. I wonder why. Oh, let's see. So we would do their rooms in this bubblegum pink with not a lot of red, just a bubblegum pink, because it would help them to become more lethargic and to become quiet and calm. It would invite them to calm down without having to medicate them. Same as inviting them into a blue room or putting on a blue suit when they want to take our loans and get our information. We're trusting them to do so. I believe every state has a color, every country has a color. Even my office is color coded. So, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask first? Okay.
What's a good color for a bedroom?
Oh, bedrooms are nice in pale blues. They're also nice in turquoise and corals. You notice that when people are going through divorces, they'll be really drawn to coral because that's about unrequited love. So it's got a little bit of that orange tone in there. But nice safe colors are sky blue colors, soft colors. If you want to do something in the greens, try to do it more in a sage green. Remember back when people were doing their carpets in that real dark green, and all of a sudden people just started ballooning up, obesity became very big? Well, green creates growth. So it caused people to gain weight. It also caused tumors to grow. I had one, there's one person in the room. Oh yeah, hello. I had this couple, they got married, and they did green and purple. I didn't say anything because you can never say anything when you're young, you know. And so it was about 3 months into it. They were ready to kill each other. He didn't go to work. There's purple sheets. She's 50 pounds heavier. She has bunions, so they called to see, and it was a relative, so they called to see what they might do. We switched everything to lavender and lime green, and things started to move. But when you get into too much green, you become kind of itchy too. It makes you envious and irritable, and you put on a lot of weight, and your feet will swell. Isn't that fascinating? Now, if you put green and burgundy together, typically when you bring burgundy in, it says, I've had enough of black. I want more. It's a regal color. And so visit high-end hotels. Go in and see what kind of colors they have. There's a place here in Dallas called the Mansions. I suppose that's supposed to be a really nice hotel. And one of my clients was going to work there. She's very sweet. She's very passive. And so there's a particular, I have a full line of perfume oils that I have lots of products. So I gave her this and I said, why don't you wear this? She goes, oh, it's too much for me. I said, just try it for a week. If you don't like it, I'll give you another one of your money back. Okay. Because it's a very strong, but it will only attract people of power and money. Anybody that's weak won't want to be around you. They have a hard time with it. So she calls me back a week later. She's working for a billionaire now. She quit her job. And that's exactly that kind of energy that it drew to her. It drew somebody that was powerful and secure in what they do. Interesting, huh? Anybody have any? We have, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a daughter that's 23, beautiful, has every reason to be happy, but it's not. And she has her bedroom painted brown. And actually she's never even finished it. It's
Wow.
like she started it, got most of the walls done, and then it's just still like that.
So was she in a relationship with somebody and it ended when she started to paint that?
Yeah, but no, this relationship that ended was a while ago, but she's always been very high maintenance and easily depressed. And she always thinks, oh, if I move here, I'll be happier if I go there, or if I have this, or if I have that right guy, you know.
See, with her going with so we keep running away from it.
Yeah.
With all of that ground, my thought would be she has a very low self-esteem.
Right.
And she's probably a doormat for a lot of folks. So I would suggest if she has to have the brown, keep it. It's helping to ground her. And then I would try to bring in maybe some coral and a little bit of a pale yellow. Turquoise and coral mixed together are amazing because turquoise is about self-responsibility. It says I take full responsibility for what I do. It rules the thymus. And coral says I want as much for me as for others. And if she's open to oils, I would diffuse sandalwood. It's hard to get right now. I've got a doctor blending me some. But sandalwood would help to relieve grief that she's gone through. And she probably has some issues with her knees and supporting herself. So she could rub sandalwood on her knees, which helps to rebuild the cartilage, but it would make her move forward. Does that make sense? Anybody have any more questions? Yes.
What about like gray and neutrals, gray colors?
Well, gray is a really nice soft color, especially if someone it's a feminine color, and if you're working on your intuition, it's nice to bring that in. But don't make it too much gray, because if you don't have any color in your life, it's too drab. Okay. Yes?
So you said the sage green, the yellow added to the green,
With-
makes it all nice.
With the sage, if you just lighten it a little bit so that it has a little more yellow, because sage is kind of a harsh military color, so just put a little bit of the little more yellow through it to bring the light through. Okay? There's I know that we've got just another second. If you stop on my booth, I'll be happy to answer any more questions. I have when you walk into the main room right there to the right, the aura camera booth, because there's lots of different remedies I have that help people with color. Like I teach at a convent in Philadelphia, and these doctors and nurses come from all over the country and all over the world. So like in the Dominican Republic, we put blue light when we have a tooth pulled because it coagulates and stops the bleeding. Well, I've got a woman that goes to Africa and they have no money and asthma is so bad there. So I taught them how to make orange solarized water to help the lungs. And there's lots of choices that you have that would be helpful. And I think my time is, any other questions or is my time is up? 1 minute, another question? If you'd like, I have a couple more handouts, you're welcome. Yes? Reduces growth, blue. Blue naturally shrinks things. And then if you use blue light, now in my thought, if you put an essential oil on something, you ozonate it with ouzo oil, and then you put blue light on it, it just pushes it in more. Make sense? I thank you very much for your time.